On this episode of Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery, I'm going to talk about one of the first things you need to do before initiating your business transition to a fee-based model. You must choose your transition date.
Running a successful fee-based financial planning business is tough, and escaping the shackles of a commission-based financial planning practice is terrifying. When all you want to do is learn from those who know, learn from financial planners who are there on the front lines doing it each and every day. What if you could just open their kimono and take a look inside to learn what works and what doesn't? Now there's a place where the secrets to running a fee-based financial planning business are revealed to those who believe. Fee-based Financial Planning Mastery. Ease your mind.
Hi everyone, it's Scott Plaskett here, and thanks for joining me. In this podcast, you will learn what's working and what's not in the world of fee-based financial planning. In each episode, I'm going to open my kimono and let you take an insider's look at what's working and what's not in my practice to help you take your business to the next level. I've been a fee-based certified financial planner since the early 90s, so believe me, I know the challenges you're facing. So get ready to learn not from a teacher, coach, or guru, but from a colleague who's on the front lines just like you. And I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my email internet newsletter to get the most up-to-date tips on how to build and grow your fee-based financial planning practice by going to feebasedfinancialplanningmastery.com.
And now for our feature segment.
True or false? You, as a financial advisor, are suffering through a totally skeptical and mistrusting public, primarily caused by the avalanche of negative articles and reports of scandals in the media, and the resulting compliance panic at the home offices has made an already tough marketing and promotion situation nearly impossible. Well, I think you'd have to agree that that's a true statement. And it's just a reality. It's a reality of where we're at today. So what messages then are you getting from your home office or your head office? What are they saying to you? The dealers and head offices that I'm, hearing comments from and hearing other people who are saying, this is what they're telling me and that sort of thing. They're all saying you need to reinvent yourself. You need to be able to, prove your value and articulate it in such a way to justify the embedded revenues you're receiving. The industry is working its way into a commoditized frenzy, and in my opinion, they're encouraging you to race to the bottom. Embedded fees are being challenged, and, in many respects, this is a good thing. However, nobody's showing advisors how to reinvent themselves. Dealers and head offices, they're quick to tell you what you're doing wrong, but they have no idea how you can do it right. New reps in the industry, the ones that us veterans are supposed to pass our torch on to, they're dying painful deaths. Experienced advisors are seeing their incomes drop. Seasoned veterans who've, really not embraced the idea that you must build a business and not a job are holding on for dear life for as long as they can. And then they'll retire with very little to show for it. It's actually a sad thing. In our industry, we can't build this industry on this. It can't be built on this type of foundation. We can't move forward on this type of a footing. It needs to be built on a more solid footing. Some people are calling for, our industry to be seen as a profession. Well, I personally don't think this, is possible in our industry right now with the way that it's set up. But using the idea as a profession, as a beacon to aim for, it's really not a bad idea. Let's look at the medical profession. And let me ask you how this scenario would go over if it was ever followed. You walk into a doctor's office with a stomachache. Your doctor says that he's come across this amazing medication that he wants to talk to you about, that is shown to help with mental alertness. He tells you that he has done a lot of research on the mental alertness medication, and he feels that it would be a great solution for you to consider. So what does he do? He prescribes it to you, and you take his lead. He's your doctor after all. After following your doctor's orders, you take his prescription. Your stomach still hurts, but you also kind of feel more mentally alert. Is this a success? Well, let's see. You went to the doctor because you had a stomachache. You were prescribed something for mental alertness, which I guess is a good thing, although you still have a stomachache. What if I told you that the doctor you went to wasn't affiliated with a company that helped people with stomach aches, which is why he gave you the best medication he had for mental alertness? Well, I think you'd be frustrated. What if I told you that the doctor generated a commission from prescribing to you the mental alertness medication? You'd probably question his motivation for prescribing it to you. Well, what if a few years later you found out that the mental alertness medication now had side effects that nobody knew about before? Well, you'd be wondering probably how much a lawyer would cost to sue this doctor for malpractice. Now, this is a common situation. This example, obviously, it's not an example for what happens in the medical profession, but then the medical industry is a profession. Now, let's look at how this situation could be fixed. So you go to the doctor because you have a stomachache. The doctor reviews a full series of questions with you to determine if it makes sense for you and he to be working together, because you only want to work with a doctor who can help you with a stomachache, and the doctor really only wants to work with you if he feels that he can be of service to you. So you have an initial meeting to do a high-level review. During that review, the doctor touches on some other things and other items that, you realize were kind of bugging you, but you'd learn to live with. And the doctor also touches on things that you didn't know you should be concerned about. Okay? In other words, the doctor allowed you to learn about things you didn't know you didn't know. You both feel that it makes sense to explore the main issue that you came in to see him about, which is your stomachache, but also to look at some other things that may relate not only to your stomachache, but to your overall health. The doctor sends you home with a checklist of information to gather together, put it all together, bring it with you to the next meeting. Now, between your first and second meeting, you receive a letter from your doctor's office stating the key items that you discussed at the meeting. And the letter also identified some other areas that you're going to be discussing about in the next meeting. Well, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling pretty confident with the doctor's approach? You bet you are. Now, you show up to your next meeting with all of the information he asked for, and you've got a pretty big stack of information. So what do? You review everything. You discuss the main areas of your concern, which, remember, was your stomachache. You discuss some of the other areas, that deal with your overall health, because that's part of what was in the letter, and that's part of what the doctor wanted to talk to you about. And you realize that there's a high probability that your stomachache is being caused by some of the other health issues that you're facing. The doctor indicates that they feel that they'll be able to assist you with your stomachache, but more than that, your overall health and wellness. So then the doctor presents to you a process that they'd like to work with you through to ensure no area of your overall health is overlooked, and that not only your stomachache is fixed, but your health is benchmarked so you can monitor whether you're getting healthier or sicker each year. This way, you can make adjustments along the way to always ensure that you're moving closer to optimal health. Now, isn't that what you're looking for? How do you feel when the doctor indicates that they can assist you with all of this through their customized health and wellness program? Basically, in my opinion, you feel that as long as the value you're going to be receiving is higher than the fee that they're charging for the process, you're all over it. Isn't optimal health really what you're looking for? This type of approach is a much better approach because now, after going through the program, you'll have a much better understanding as to why something might be prescribed for you. In essence, you'll see exactly why you need the prescription. So your confidence is high. Your trust is high. You're now excited because not only do you see the light at the end of the tunnel for, the issue that you had with regards to your stomachache, but you see that this process will help you with your overall health. That's awesome. Pretty much you're basically asking, where do I sign? So why then do mutual fund dealers, securities dealers, and insurance companies you work for never show you how to do this? Well, I think the answer is quite simple. The product manufacturers, which is what they are, they're not advisors. They're product manufacturers. The dealers don't know how to regulate advice, and they kind of find financial planning is a threat to the proper oversight of their products, which is what they're being asked to do. Clients, however, they want this type of process to feel comfortable that the solutions they're implementing are the right ones for them. The bottom line is that this is what you will use to move you toward your ability to properly articulate your value to your clients to justify the revenue you're receiving. Provide clients this type of process, and they will value their relationship with you far beyond the rate of return being generated for them. So I'm hoping now that I've got you thinking thinking about you, your clients, and your business. Thinking about everything you would like to have in your business and everything you would like to get rid of in your business. Gain clarity on this, because once you do, you will be able to take the information I'm going to deliver to you and run with it. You'll actually have a track to run on that really has a vault filled with gold at the end of the journey. You won't just be refacing your business, which is really what a lot of people are trying to get you to do, is just make it look a little different. You won't be refacing your business with this process. I'm going to help you really try to make it to go deeper with it. You're going to change the core essence of your business to make it become a true extension of you and your uniqueness. You're going to be taking control of your business and doing what you love to do, not what your compliance officer says you have to do. You won't be living in fear of the next compliance audit. You'll, for the first time in your life, actually see what it means to build a business instead of a glorified job. You'll actually feel that feeling, which I don't know if you've ever felt it before, of what it feels like to truly make a profit. Not just eking out a little more money each year with nothing less left at the end of the year, but an actual true profit. Profit which you can reinvest back into your business for future expansion, for future value, for future whatever you want to do. But it's the actual idea of making a profit, having something left over. You won't be trying to fit your business around the mountain of compliance headaches that are being downloaded to you, and you won't be sideswiped by your dealer telling you that you can no longer do what you've been doing for years. You'll develop a business model that everybody wins with. You see, these are some of the things that people are saying to me. They're saying, listen, my dealer now says I can't do this. My dealer says I can no longer use that particular investment solution. My dealer says I can't charge fees for my financial planning. Well, you know what? That's wrong, because clients want that. Clients want to be able to know that the advice they're receiving is the best advice they can get. And it's not advice that is just simply earmarking them or routing them through to buying more products. They want the financial planning advice and the advocacy that comes from that financial planning process. So how then do we migrate our business away from the malpractice model, which is what I think the current solution is, of, malpractice models, basically solutions before advice, to the advocacy model of advice before solutions? How do we create a business that isn't just a glorified job? How do we build true wealth for ourselves, not on the backs of our clients, but in conjunction with them? Well, I've studied this topic and continue to do so. And over the next little while, I'm going to be focusing on everything you need to know to take action, to be able to set up a plan so that by the end of the next 6 months, and yeah, it only takes 6 months to do this, you'll be 100% migrated over from your current either commission model or the current business model that you have right now to a fee-based financial planning model. Your clients will actually be saying thank you for the transition opportunity. Your confidence is going to soar. Your revenue will take a drastic increase. Your referrals will increase, and your life will take on a whole new meaning. Life as you know it will be great. My goal here is to provide you with all of my real life examples. See, I've done all this before, so I'm not speaking from this is what I think you should do. I'm actually speaking from this is what I've done, this is what I experienced, and this is what I know works. I'm going to give you my real life example of what I went through in transitioning my business, not only to a fee-based business model, but to a fee-based business model without the need for an investment license. So stay tuned as we take this journey together. Soon, you'll be out there building yourself a better business. Okay, so at the outset, I said that your first step was to choose your exit date. So why is choosing this date, why is choosing it first so important? Well, the whole process will take as long as you give it. So give it a deadline. You see, I kind of liken this to, a few different examples. One would be if the best thing you can do if you want to get, healthy, or if you want to sort of lose some weight or whatever, is book yourself a race. So, for example, let's say you wanted to get into doing some running, or you wanted to, whatever it happens to be. You just wanted to sort of live a healthier lifestyle. Well, the best thing you can do is go and find a race that is taking place, in 3 months or 6 months or whenever it happens to be, and actually book yourself into that race and pay your registration fee and everything that goes along with it. The reason being is that now all of a sudden you've got a date you've got to aim for. Without that date, you kind of, it might not get you out of bed. It might not get you to do the training. It might not get you to do the extra work. And this does take work. This does take some focused effort. But if you don't book that date at the end, then you're never going to do it. I mean, this will take as long as you give it. Heck, when I did it, I'm saying here that you want to be doing this over about a 6-month time period. I did this in 3 months. I transitioned 100% of our practice in 3 months. And it was a busy time, but it's because I was focused and I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I gave myself a date. So book that date. You've got to look into the future. And I'm giving you 6 months. Book that date into the future, mark it down, and earmark everything. Everything is now focused on getting ready for that particular date. So, as I say, my recommendation is to choose a date from today for about 6 months from today. Now, it's enough time to actually have 2 meetings with your key relationships. And this is one of the reasons why I feel it's important to do the 6-month approach. Because when I did it, it was quicker than I think. Anyways, it was quick. I did a little bit of, when I go back and think about how I transitioned, we had been planting the seed earlier on. So, it allowed us to do a 3-month transition pretty well. Plus, we were really focused on financial planning and comprehensive financial planning. And I'll get into more of that in a moment. But, definitely 6 months will give you enough time to have 2 really good quality meetings with your clients. So what happens at these meetings? And I'm going to go over them briefly. I'm going to go into the more detail later discussions. But basically right now, let's look at meeting number 1. This is where you do what I call planting the seed. And when you're planting the seed here, you're going to initiate your discussion around really focusing on and answering your clients' questions by always relating back to your financial plan. Now, when I talk about planting a seed, I'm not talking about sort of dripping in topics of what you're planning on doing. No, I'm talking about planting the seed on giving them an experience as to what your new model is going to be like to them. And by doing so, you're just basically putting them in that model, and you're going to be having discussions as if you were in that model. So what I mean by that is initiate your discussions around really focusing on answering your clients' questions by always relating back to a financial planning discussion. What it does is it really reinforces the importance of a financial plan and the financial planning process. So if a client, let's say or if somebody you're meeting with for the first time, if they say, well, I want a better investment return. Well, the response to that is, well, why? Why is it you want a better return? Do you know what your required rate of return is for your financial plan to be successful? Well, oftentimes they're going to say no. I venture to guess that every time somebody's going to say, well, no, I don't know what my required rate of return is. I know what I want, but I don't know what my required rate of return is. Well, then you can say, well, wait a minute. You just said you know what you want. You want X% rate of return. Why do you want that return? What's significant about that number? Well, they're going to have to come back with a reason. Chances are the reason is they just want a higher rate of return. And with what I find is that people will always gravitate to rate of return when they don't know what else they need to be looking for. And they always look for a higher rate of return than they feel they really need because they'd rather have too much than too little. The problem with that, as you and I both know, is that they will be taking on more risk, and they don't really realize what the risks are. So by bringing it back to the financial planning discussion, saying, listen, one of the things that we feel is important to do is to determine what your required rate of return is. And the only way we can do that is by establishing by getting a clear understanding about what your overall financial picture looks like and developing a comprehensive financial plan for you. By doing that, we can determine not only what your required rate of return is, we can then take a look at the risks that you need to take on the various portions of your net worth. Maybe there's a portion of your net worth that we know, this particular dollar value of your liquid net worth is required to support the retirement income cash flow that you need during your retirement years. But anything above that, well, that's kind of not needed for that cash flow. So really the question then is, well, who are you investing it for? Maybe you're investing it for your beneficiaries, because if we've determined that you're probably never going to use that money, then you got to answer the question, who are you investing it for? Okay. So that then gives you a clear understanding about what percentage of your portfolio needs to be in investment solution A, what percentage needs to be in investment solution B. And you can start to get very clear on that all from the financial plan. So by bringing your conversation always back to the financial plan, it really reinforces the need for a financial plan. So maybe you don't have a comprehensive financial plan for your clients right now, and that's fine. You know, a lot of people probably won't have what I would consider a comprehensive financial plan. Maybe you've done some, rough calculations and that sort of thing, but you don't really have a plan that you're going back to on a regular basis. This is your opportunity to now start going back to that and really provide clients with an insight as to what they're on track for. So you kind of do a once-over review of every area of their financial plan. And that's really what this next meeting is going to be all about, is doing that once-over. Identifying all the opportunities that you now need to work on. So if you do a comprehensive plan, because if they're an existing client for you and you're in your review meetings with them right now, you know a lot about them. And so what I would recommend you do is you sit down and you put all the information together in your financial planning program that you're using. And if you don't have all the information, well, then the first step for that review meeting is saying, listen, I just want to do a double check. I want to do an overview of where things are at with you today, because I want to make sure that we're very clear what you're on track for. By going through that process, they're going to start telling you about everything, because they will quickly recognize if they don't tell you about something, and maybe they haven't told you about something, or there's something has changed and you just haven't had that discussion in the past, they'll realize that if they don't give you that information, then the results they're going to get are going to be kind of flawed or tainted without that information in it. Well, what it allows you to do is now you can start to identify some opportunities that you can begin to work on with these clients. And, this goes back to an understanding that in order to migrate to this type of a process and this type of a business model, you really do need to have a desire to focus on financial planning. If your focus and your desire is just to really manage assets, well then, going to a comprehensive financial planning business model, a fee-based model, is probably not the best thing for you, because it's going to cause more headache than anything. But if your focus is really on financial planning first, and you recognize that the implementation solutions, well, we can do that, but that's the least of our concerns right now. The most important thing is really developing the comprehensive plan to identify what we need to be working on to put in, to solve your problems or to make things better for you. And it all comes back to the financial planning process. But by doing that, now what you're doing is you're building a list of all the opportunities that you could be working on with this client. So maybe you identify other investment opportunities. Maybe there's some life insurance opportunities. Maybe there's some living benefit opportunities. Maybe there's some mortgage analysis opportunities. I mean, the list goes on. And it's amazing how having this initial meeting and going through a once over of their financial plan, which again, maybe you haven't done this before, but by doing this, it really gives the client a real sense of, wow, they're really looking at everything, and they're really making sure that everything's on track. And maybe at the end of it, you say, okay, there's no opportunities to work on. But the reality is you're probably going to find something. So what you're going to be doing during this meeting is logging all of the opportunities that you've identified. And you're going to be getting your clients to kind of rank the importance of them. Which ones of these opportunities? If there's more than one or two, you can't do everything at once. So you're going to say to them, listen, obviously we can't solve all these problems right away. We're going to have to, work on them over time. But which one is the most important one that you want to be working on first? And they'll come back and they'll explain which one is most important to them. If you identify some opportunities, choose the most important one. And then once the client has chosen the most important one, book a meeting to review the results of your findings on that opportunity. Don't answer the questions right then and there. Oftentimes, I find financial advisors will try to answer everything right then and there, and to be very, very efficient with their meetings, because they feel like that's how they can add value by making it simple, by compressing it into doing everything as quickly as possible. And that efficiency is where they're feeling like they're adding value. What I've found in reality is that efficiency, or going that route, actually detracts from the value, because sometimes clients feel like it's being looked over very, very quickly just to get to a product sale. So what I recommend you do is you say, okay, I want to go through a full review of this with you. We can't do it all right now. There's too much information I need to look into, first of all. So why don't we book a time to do this? And you know what? We could even do it online. I recommend, obviously a face-to-face meeting is great. But if you're doing a lot of these opportunity reviews, sometimes it's, the conversation might be a 20-minute, half-hour conversation. And for somebody to have to drive in to your office, or you to go to their, it might be a little much. So what I recommend you do is you consider using an electronic online meeting. I happen to use GoToMeeting, and I love it. I use it all the time, and clients actually ask for GoToMeeting meetings as we go forward. So this process will not only begin to fill up your calendar with revenue opportunities, but it's going to reinforce with your clients the importance of a comprehensive financial plan to help them in making better financial decisions. Because remember, you're always bringing it back to, well, let's determine if that's going to be if that decision you have to make, let's go and take a look at the plan, because we can maybe say, well, if you do this, it's going to make you, move you closer to or further from your ultimate goals. So it's constantly bringing it back to those financial planning goals. Completing this process with a client will really show your level of comprehensiveness to your approach, and really reinforce the need for comprehensive financial planning. And you may even hear them say things like, wow, I didn't know you did so much, or I didn't even know you did that. And this is one of the things that these are some responses that I've had from other financial advisors who've gone down this route, is their clients will say, well, I didn't know that you did life insurance or mortgage analysis or anything like that. I wasn't aware of that. And it probably was because you just didn't bring it up at the time. So by going through this overall once over, it gives you an opportunity to do that. What it's also doing is it leaves your clients really, really happy with what you're doing for them. And that happiness will go well beyond just the investment focus, because a lot of people are just investment focused because they don't have anything else to look at. By doing it this way, it just makes them feel like you're looking at so much more and you're being so much more comprehensive. So that's kind of the tone, and we'll go into much more detail as to how to actually execute this first meeting later on. But that's kind of the tone of the first meeting. Now, then you're going to have a second meeting. And, the second meeting will probably be 4 or 5 months after the first meeting. And it's actually, you may have a lot of opportunities that you're going to be working on in between the first and second meeting. So who knows, you may have had 2 or 3 meetings with these clients along the way. The nice thing is that most of those meetings are going to be revenue generating meetings, so it's not going to be necessarily a waste of your time. Now, meeting number 2, and this is where you have sort of those core meetings. Meeting number 1, which is where you're what I call planting the seed through the financial planning approach. And meeting number 2, this is where you're going to reveal to your clients how you've been doing some research and that you'd like to share with the results of that research with them. So it's going to provide you with kind of a story to walk them through, and it's going to allow you to frame and position kind of the next chapter of your relationship together. Now, I'm going to go, as I say, into greater detail on this later when we're going to dive right into, okay, what do you say at each meeting? But I want you to be aware of how the whole process really does take 2 meetings. It's at meeting number 2 where your clients will be, they're going to be listening, but at the end of that meeting, they're going to say, listen, I'd like to be a part of your new business model. They're going to be excited to pay you a fee. They're going to say things like, thank you for charging me, for making me aware of this new business model. Thank you for doing such a great job and and moving your business to this particular model and qualifying and allowing me to participate in that. It's a great meeting and the beginning of your clients receiving so much more value and you receiving more revenue as a result. I mean, it's really where everybody wins. And so it's at that second meeting where you're actually going to be doing that transition and getting their buy-in to transitioning to this new model. And as I say, we'll go through exactly what to say and how to say it and how to articulate all that information to clients during that time. Now, again, using that 6 months from today kind of approach and choosing that end date, it's enough time to put in place what you need to put in place, because this is where now we're going to start building, we're going to start, all the heavy lifting is going to begin. And we're going to start a process where we're going to go through mapping out what needs to be done so that you can hit these meetings, you can start booking the meetings, you're going to know what you're going to be talking about, but you're also going to start putting some of the foundation in place. So it's also enough time to continue running your existing business alongside of your new business. Because remember, this whole process of transitioning is actually transitioning to a new business model. And you can't, you don't want to do it necessarily cold turkey, although you can. But you do need to sort of run the two simultaneously together because you do have to pay your bills. You do need to make ends meet. And so you can run these two in tandem. And it's just like, one of my favorite authors who you've probably heard me talk about before, Mike Michalowicz. And it's kind of like what he said, and I'm really kind of paraphrasing in this, when in his book, The Pumpkin Plan. It's enough time to plant your seeds, weed your garden, water and nurture the pumpkins with the highest probability of success to grow them and to grow the best pumpkins you've ever grown. This new business is your pumpkin patch. So this whole process is really just like that. It's going to be, identifying, you're going to be planting your seeds. You're going to be weeding the garden a little bit, weeding your business out for getting rid of the stuff you don't want. You're going to be nurturing and watering the areas of the business that really are valuable to you. And that's going to give you the highest probability of success. And really, once you start going down this route, you can see that it really is not, there's really no way you can fail by doing this, because it's better for everybody. And it allows you to just work with the best pumpkins, grow the best pumpkins, and really focus on the best opportunities that you have within your business. And this is your new business. This is your pumpkin patch, so to speak. So choose that date and put that deadline in place. And so, really what I want you to do is take some time and just look 6 months out and say, what am I committed now to making that change? Because if I am, let's choose that date and let's get things started. Now, the goal of migrating your business to a fee-based model, and, again, my goal is to show you that, migrating to a fee-based model is one thing, but I'm really actually going to be showing you how to migrate to a fee-based model without your investment license, without the need of your investment license, and how that process is actually more profitable than just moving to a fee-based model. One thing I recognize is that it is terrifying up front. I know. I've been there. I've done it. I know the anxiety that you go through. But the thing about this goal that actually makes it easier than you think is, it comes back to one of the coaches who I work with, Dan Sullivan. He said at one point, he says, when you want to grow 2 times, you can probably do so with a lot of the same infrastructure you have in place today. But when you want to grow your business 10 times, you need a whole new foundation. And it's easier to build a new foundation from scratch than it is to fix and mend the existing one to do the job. That's so true. It's easier to say, if I'm going to build a business, and remember, most people who are in this industry don't build businesses, they just build glorified jobs. If I'm going to build a business, then I need a whole new set of foundation. I need a whole new support structure in place. And so now it just changes your thinking. It allows you to focus on that structure, and it allows you to really say, if I'm going to do this again, and this is kind of your do-over, I'm going to do it right this time. And for those of you who've been in the industry for a while, it's going to be so much easier because you know what you like, you know what you don't like. For those of you just starting out, you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. And if you've been if this message resonates with you, then you kind of have some perspective on what you'd like to accomplish. The nice thing is you don't have all the BS that goes along with, the commission-based side of things. So it's going to really allow you to build that foundation, to put that support structure in place and build on it. And again, you can do it alongside of your existing business. So choose your exit date for about 6 months from today. And when I say exit date, it's the date at which your transition date. Mark it down on your calendar and stay tuned, because my goal for the next little while is to show you exactly how to build your business so that your clients will receive over 10 times the value for the price that they have paid to work with you. Hey, at this point, what I want to do, I just want to give another quick shout out to some of the new members of the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group. I love it when new members join in, and there's some great conversations going on there. So if you haven't joined into the LinkedIn Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery group, definitely just go into LinkedIn, search for the group name for Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery, and then just click on the join button. And if you're a practicing CFP, or if you're a practicing financial planner, or in the financial advisory capacity, then we'll definitely get you joined in. We want to make sure that the group is, full of just people who are actual practicing financial advisors and whatnot, just so we can keep it pure, and the conversations as a result are great. But yeah, since the last show, I'd like to welcome Scott Colson, Doug Dahmer, Mike Cronwich, Michael Gauthier, and Malcolm Wenford Thompson. We've got one more here. Looks like Aaron Hance. So yeah, everybody, I appreciate you guys joining in and participating in the conversations. It's great to have you there. As well, a shout out to some people who've been communicating with me via email, asking lots of questions and following up on my initial email that I usually send out to people when they join or capture some of the content that I'm giving away. I asked them, listen, what's kind of bugging you? What are some of if you could, solve one problem today, wave that magic wand and solve one problem, what would that problem be, so that I can help out? And I've been happy to be able to communicate with Julie F., Mike C., who else we got here? Sean S., Colette G. And yeah, that looks like some of the conversations I've been having over the past handful of weeks. So I appreciate all those communications and comments, some really flattering comments and really positive comments. People who love the show are loving the content that's there. And yeah, I mean, my hope right now with the show is to give you so much content, for free that that you can't get on anywhere else. That I think it's really an important topic, an important industry. The industry really is so core and critical to the success of our countries, and for people who can sort of get on the right track and do it the right way, which is what I believe the fee-based financial planning mastery is sort of along those lines. Then I want to be able to support all of those people. And I at the last presentation I did, one of the investment counseling firms who we work with invited me to speak just to say, hey, would you mind coming out and just having a conversation and speaking to some of the people who we're working with or looking at working with, and just explain a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you do it and whatnot. So I went and did that and met a lot of people who were members of the Fee-Based Financial Planning Mastery LinkedIn group. So I was really happy to actually shake some hands and really have some great conversations with some people who had been following me and listening to the show and whatnot. So it was really just a fun way to sort of speak to and communicate with the community again. So I really appreciate you guys. If you're ever at a conference and I happen to be there and you've been listening to the show or whatever, just come up and say, hey, I listened to the show and I really, just wanted to meet you. I'd love to meet you. I just really like to put, a physical contact in place with anybody who listens, because it's, great to communicate with you electronically, but to have a great conversation with you, face to face is even better. I am going to be speaking at a Sun Life has a PD Day or PD Summit that they're putting together. That's going to be taking place in Montreal, that I'm going to, and they've asked me to do a session there. So I'm going to be speaking there. So any of you who are going to the PD Day or the PD Summit in Montreal, definitely come on up, say hi, and love to have a drink with you. So just have a carry on a good conversation. So anyways, that's kind of what's been going on in my neck of the woods. Been doing lots of work. I mean, things are really quite busy with a lot of the testing that we're doing when it comes to our marketing, our Facebook. We're doing a lot of work in Facebook, and that's going quite well. We're getting a lot of engagement, a lot of new leads coming onto our system that we're nurturing along, and I'm doing exactly what I'm telling you guys to do, and that it's interesting how it does start to snowball. It's definitely the online advertising and the online education-based direct response marketing, doing it through social media. It's very inexpensive. Once you get the process in place and it just kind of runs itself, I'd say every day we're getting new leads coming onto our system and people who are communicating and whatnot. And that's just the nurturing process. And I know that, the nurturing process takes anywhere from 6 to 18 months for people who are, going to be looking at buying, the financial services that they were inquiring about. They're going to do, of those people, they're going to do that within the next 2 years. So I just want to keep on communicating with them. And so as a result of doing that, it's amazing how things do start to snowball once you've been doing that for a little while. So, if you haven't started that process, if you haven't started some online social media advertising and direct response marketing, and really developing and delivering some content out there in exchange for somebody's email address and putting them on a nurturing campaign, you really do it. It's very inexpensive. And if you're not doing any of that sort of stuff, why are you listening to the show? I mean, you really need to take this and put action in place. Those of you who are taking action, you're getting results. You're emailing me saying that you're getting results. And those of you who aren't, I don't know if it's any different for you. Maybe it's making you feel good. But the purpose of the show is not just to make you feel good. It's to actually give you a better lifestyle and to allow you to use your business to do that. So if you haven't I'll maybe put this out there as a bit of a challenge. If you haven't initiated one thing in the next 3 months, maybe what I'll ask is initiate something, try something, do what we've been talking about. If you have any questions on how to get started, send me an email. I'll help any way I can. But I just want you to take some action, because I know the people that are taking action are getting results. So I guess that's enough of my ramble on that, but I definitely want people to take action. And so there's lots of great stuff going on, and keep on with the listening to the show, because over the next little while, there's going to be a lot of great new content. I've mapped out some content that's really come from questions and and conversations that I've had with people, really based on their frustrations. And so I'm hoping to answer and alleviate a lot of that, and really put my 2 cents into some of those frustrations to hopefully help those of you who are also sharing in those frustrations make it through them. So, anyways. Love to hear from any of you. If you have any questions or comments, do reach out to me in the show notes. You can make some comments there. But just glad to have everybody with me listening. And as I say, communicate whenever you can. If you have any questions, happy to help.
You've been listening to Scott E. Plaskett, a certified financial planner and industry veteran in the world of fee-based financial planning. Want free resources to help you build a better fee-based financial planning firm? Visit ilovefinancialplanning.com right now to register for Scott's Inner Circle email list, where you'll get front-of-the-line updates on the latest resources that are driving profits to Scott's fee-based financial planning practice. All of the resources are pulled directly from the highly acclaimed fee-based Financial Planning Mastery Academy. Go now to ilovefinancialplanning.com. Build a better business and make more money with your fee-based financial planning practice today.